Eisenhart.
Here.
Mr. Hefner.
Here.
Mr. Hohenschultz.
Here.
Mrs. Hune.
Here.
Mr. Reitenauer.
Here.
Mr. Sheets.
Here.
Mr. Stubitz.
Here.
Mrs. Walliser.
Right. Moving on to. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. So, thank you everyone for joining this evening. Sorry we are several minutes late. We had an executive session to discuss personal matters. I do appreciate everyone coming out this evening, being part of our school board meeting as we look to kick off our 25-26 school year. So this is the first school board meeting that we do to start our school year in August, and tomorrow all our staff come, and then next Wednesday all our students come. So we're excited. It's anxious time. It's exciting time. Today was locker practice. So it was great to see kids and faces back in the building. With that being said, we're going to transition. The first presentation we had this morning, we have two presentations this evening, is from Dr. Kircher. She is our Pupil Services Director. We have a very exciting program that we're looking to launch this year. It is a partnership with two of our employees that have therapy dogs. And we're looking to roll therapy dogs as part of our support system for all our students within our district K-12. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Kircher.
Hi, good evening. As you can see, we have two other audience members here. If they want to come up, please, to the podium. We have Toby and we have Maple. So this evening, we're proposing our new initiative that with the partnership with the Educational Foundation, we're looking to start a Pause in the Halls initiative. And it's not going. There we go. And the purpose behind it is, since COVID, we know that there are a growing number of mental health issues and things with students that are entering our classrooms, and we want to support them and their needs the best way possible. And with doing some research, we found that therapy dogs is one of the ways that we can take on that initiative and begin to foster that improvement in mental health, social connections, and then the physiological stress responses that hinder their learning. So in looking at our two paw friends, we have Toby's a golden retriever. Mr. Dean Molatoris is our buildings and grounds facilities coordinator, and he would have Toby across the district with him. And Maple is with Mrs. Miller, who's at our elementary school, and those students would see Maple down at the elementary school. So we proposed a timeline to, and I'm having a hard time with, I don't know where it's going to. That one? That's not going. Okay, thank you. So Toby's timeline, if you just back up one slide, please. Thank you. They are working on getting him trained similar to Maple. And by September, October, we're hoping that he would pass his therapy certification courses with Alliance Therapy. And then looking at that November timeline of potentially being able to bring him more regularly into the schools. Right now, he has been coming in with Dean throughout the summer to kind of get acclimated to the buildings, the sounds, the different areas, and the staff that Dean works with. And then in looking at Maple, similarly, Becky has been bringing Maple in on Maple Tuesdays. Am I right?
Mondays.
Maple Mondays. Okay. There was something with Tuesday, I thought, but I don't know what it was. Maybe it was Toby Tuesdays. We were thinking originally. Okay. So getting them just acclimated again to the building, the noises, the sounds. Maple will also be similarly going through the same certification timeline as Toby, with that fall date of attaining that certification. So our goal for this first year is truly to get the dogs in the hallways, in different areas of the buildings, 1 to 2 days per week, not having any defined classroom time, but seeing, how things go, and then reassessing at the end of the year so that year 2 we can have more of that pointed contact with specific classrooms and actual different lessons and things happening in the classrooms. So that is our proposal for this initiative. We thank the Educational Foundation for supporting that initiative. We thank both handlers for being willing to bring in their pups and assist with this new initiative and being in buildings with our students and our staff.
Do you guys want to share anything? Share why you got into this and why you
Well, I would like to thank the school district. Our son, I don't know if everybody remembers, our son had cancer. And the school district really supported us. And this was one of the things that we wanted to do to get back to, we had a therapy dog that came to CHOP to see our son. And so our dog had passed away and we decided this was the time to get a dog, train it. I've trained dogs my whole life. So we started training her with the hope to take her down to CHOP at least a couple times a month, maybe on the weekend, to go see the kids that are there and be able to support their families. So this is just a wonderful thing that we can give back to our actual school district in this way that supported us. So I thank all of you.
And I will say Becky has been in the low incidence classroom at the elementary school with Mrs. Kemp. And the work that she has done with the students in that classroom, and when Maple comes in, whether it's to support those students in that classroom or other students in classrooms that those students are going into, has been something to see, because truly that attitude and that affect changes greatly once the dogs are in the classroom and in the hallways. They really look forward to seeing her. I don't know, Dean, if you want to share anything from the lens of Toby.
Like Toby's lens is, he only has eyes for Maple.
Yeah.
Toby's lens right now.
She's cute.
He does have things for her.
Yeah.
But we'll get past that.
Yeah. And they're still in
They're
training.
both very young.
Yeah.
Toby just turned 1, and I think those of you that have seen him around the building, when he doesn't have eyes on Maple at the time, he's a little, not always distracted like this. But in my standpoint and my wife's standpoint, when we got Toby, we got the call that Toby was ready for us. We got the call last August to pick him up in September. We had waited about 3 or 4 years, a specific 3 years, for exactly what we wanted for him. And then as we got him and as he was growing as a puppy, we noticed he had a really affection for kids. So we took him to the parks, and he absolutely loves being around kids. So I said, all right, I want to get a therapy dog certified and do this as a hobby. She thought it was crazy, but it was really a goal of mine. And then when Dr. Kirchhoff brought up the potential of this happening in the school, I thought, well, this is going to be a win for everybody. Allow Toby to get back, allow me to get back with him. So it's just a fantastic thing. I really appreciate opening the school up for Toby and letting him come in.
And once they pass their certification test officially, like the plan is to roll out communication to the community with their pictures and maybe coloring pages for the younger kids and that kind of thing to really introduce the initiative school-wide.
So we do not plan to officially roll this out until we get certified. But Mrs. Hemmings here, she is the president of the Education Foundation. They are sponsoring this and supporting it financially. So it's going to fit the cost of the district and these are in control of the Education Foundation. So it's a huge partnership that we're looking for all those programs. And that three-way partnership.
I would just like to interject if I may.
Please.
I work part-time and we have 2 Great Danes, a little collie type dog, and a tiny little dog which was just like
Okay.
Maple. Okay, and it's interesting to be around them during the day while you're working, and all of a sudden this dog comes in your office, they're looking for food, so I don't know if we have any input on the cost of food, but I think we can handle it.
Well, we don't have a Great Dane, so I think it's manageable.
Toby seems to work for ice
Yeah.
cubes. So
Yeah.
He works for ice cubes, so it's not, frozen water is usually pretty good.
It comes to weigh about 160 pounds.
Yeah.
So don't want to
Good.
get away when
Add
you're
to
hungry.
that comment quickly, I couldn't be more delighted to see this program launch. Miss Kelly will remember a couple years back, we had Drazen, an Irish setter, a titled Irish setter, obedience dog, that my family, who's been in Irish setter show dogs for 40 years, come to the elementary school a number of times.
Joanna recently.
She had Drazen crossed the
Aw.
bridge, which broke her heart. But we've got the pictures that show the young kids circling around the dog and the dynamic in the room is
Yep.
amazing. I would suggest what Joanna did really well, I thought, was the curriculum that matched. So she always brought a book to match. It had to be a book with Irish Setter illustrations. And so she tied in the lesson from a reading perspective. So if there's a way to, in addition to the emotional support, tie in and the coloring language, maybe to, consider some reading material that's connected to therapy dogs or animals or, the ag program or even whatever that ties it all together, I'd be fully in support of that.
All right, thank you. Good. All right. All right, any other questions?
What breed is Toby? Toby's an old slide. He's a golden retriever. Special. Very good. Toby, to tell you a little bit of a story, his, Google it, Daniel the golden retriever. So his grandfather, his mom's dad, if you will, almost won Best in Show a few years ago in Westminster. So he comes from that. So, Toby won.
Toby's royalty.
It's what we personally wanted from
Yes, oh, I'm so sorry. You did tell me to turn that on. Savings wise is net of any cost to do the transaction. So that is real savings to the district after everything is said and done. And then you'll see in the blue box to the left there that there's a preliminary timeline there. That's just to, again, to reiterate that these bonds become callable next year. We can settle them then in November. We can price them in October. We'll have all the kind of behind the scenes stuff that happens with the administration leading up to that after tonight and through September. And what you're being asked to authorize tonight is what we call the parameters resolution. And Rhonda Lord here is your bond counsel. She's the one that prepared that. If you have any questions on that, I'm sure she can speak to it. But you'll notice that the parameters resolution is going to be for an amount that is in excess of the par amount that we're showing here as the estimated new issuance of bonds. And the reason for that is we have to file with the state on a expected basis. So we have to build in flexibility for when we actually go to price these bonds to have room to move kind of the principal around based on what investors want. And at the end of the day, we still only issue the proper amount of par amount, and then Rhonda and her team come in and refile with the state again afterwards and take the remaining part off the books once we've kind of sold the bonds and we know what the final par amount and structure is. So that is why, you see a number there that's in excess of that. If you have any additional legal type questions on that, I'm sure Ron will be happy to answer them. Or if you have any other additional questions for me on the structure or the mechanics of the refunding piece, I'm happy to answer them.
Back to the cost of doing this.
Mhm.
The line I'm looking at is estimated cost of issuance.
Yep.
$105,000.
Yes.
Okay, so the total savings to the district, if you all worked for free, which obviously that's not fair, but you would add those two together, so it'd be like $220,000 of interest savings.
Correct.
You guys are essentially taking 50% of that as your cost to help us get the other 50%.
And I will say that 105,000 is not just us. It's your lawyers. It's paying the people that sell the bonds, the salespeople on the desk. It's the credit rating agency takes a fee. There's printing the official statements and compiling those documents. There's a bunch, and we can break that out for you, but there's a bunch of things in that number. So it's not just like my fee or Rhonda's fee. It's all the things that need to be done behind the scenes to be funded to get the transaction into the market.
And that roughly 50%, how does that compare if it was a much bigger bond or a different bond?
It generally,
I mean, it seems like a high percentage.
it does, and it's because we're doing this last bite at the apple kind of situation. So like I mentioned, historically, we would say that the industry standard is you do a refunding when you have a 2% savings, right? If it's not your kind of last bite and you're not rolling off time. And that would be net of cost at 2%. Net of cost, you guys are right now at 1.7%. So it's a little bit more because we're so far out and we're doing this for the last time, but it's not leaps and bounds between 1.7% and 2%, which would be the historical average for these.
I think the only thing that I want to say honestly to the board is we always talk about we have these low interest rates on all of our bonds, and then now we're going to refinance one for a lower rate. Just to put it into perspective, and kind of as Ali had mentioned, we're refinancing. So the 2019 A bond was a variable interest rate. So basically all the debt service that we paid up front, we've paid at the lower interest rate. So it started at 1.65 and has grown to 5% for the last couple of years. So we're coming up on that chunk of time where we'd be paying 5% interest on the remaining principal. So that's why now it seems, we say, oh, well, the average was two something percent. That's why there is a savings, even though interest rates are about 3+%. It's really because we're achieving that savings on the 5% interest rate at this time.
And that's correct. And if you went back to the summary of outstanding debt page, if you look there, we have a line there that says average coupon. That's the average rate on each one of these bond issues. And what you'll notice is the average rate outstanding on these 19A bonds is 4.76%, which is why this currently works. If you look at the other two series, which were two other bank loans we did to restructure some of your debt and to provide you new money for capital projects, we did those at the all-time lows during COVID, and those are locked in at 1.42% and 1.62%. So it's likely we'll never refinance those ones because they are so low unless we see another disaster COVID scenario where rates go literally back to zero. But that's why the 19A bonds are presenting this opportunity, to Nicole's point.
Can you just walk us through, I know you haven't, just walk us through the timeline again. So what are we
Sure.
approving tonight and then what's gonna happen next?
So tonight, if it's the will of the board to move forward with getting prepared to do this refinancing, you have a resolution in front of you that would authorize, us to start working on all the things that need to happen behind the scenes. We'll work with the administration and Rhonda and her team and everybody to get everything ready, do the credit rating process in September. They require 3 weeks to provide us a rating once we get the information up to them. And that would put us in a position then in October to sell the bonds. So that's when we lock in the new interest rate is in October. And then after that, we need about 30 to 35 days till settlement so that we can file with the state and do all the other things that are required. And so these bonds would settle in November when they're legally permissible and able to settle so that we're within that 90-day window of the call date, which is in February 1st.
If the market moves in a direction that's not favorable to this transaction, do we incur expense?
No.
And do we have the ability to opt out if it no longer makes sense come October?
Yeah, we'll be in constant communication with the administration, and if rates get away from us and it does not make sense, we would just hold. And the resolution is infinite. So if we hit a spot where we're like, this isn't a good idea right now, for whatever reason, tariff craziness, who knows, then we'll just stop and we'll hold and we'll pause and we'll wait until things settle, and we'll pick the time that makes the most sense where we know that we're going to at least be able to execute what we've said here. So
Do you want to share any?
Sure, I'm happy to go over the resolution. Basically, it approves everything Ally just went over. I'm not sure if everybody here has done a bond issue before, but whenever a school district or any local government unit wants to borrow money, they have to go through the Department of Community and Economic Development and get approval under what's called the Local Government Unit Debt Act. So this resolution follows that debt act and outlines everything that's required under the debt act to do the borrowing. It is a parameters borrowing. Some of the questions that you raised, you're not required to go through with this. This just gets the approval on the books. That's like a 30-day process. So we like to get it in place so that when the time is right, Raymond James can go ahead and price the bonds. So if you approve this resolution tonight, we will file this with DCD after we do some advertising. You have to advertise before and after. So that is one expense that you will incur, and there's a small filing fee. So we would go ahead and do that and then just kind of sit there and wait until it was time to actually price the bonds. The resolution does provide that the business manager or a board officer needs to approve any final addendum. So until anything is approved, you won't incur any actual debt. It will be that final approval that gives us the go-ahead to do things. If you never do that, then we don't, this just sits there, or at some point we can let DCED know that you don't intend to issue the debt under the resolution. When you do issue the debt, we will then contact them and tell them that the $8 million amount that's in this borrowing was too high, that you only actually issued 6.7 million or whatever that number is. So we'll correct the books with DCED at that time. But the resolution is lengthy as it is. I won't go over it in great detail with you. There are certain things that are required. It sets forth the history of the prior bonds that we're refunding. They're the 2019 A bonds, so that's a large part of the first 2 pages. It puts the maximum amount of the debt in, which is the $8 million. It has a maximum interest rate, which is 5.5%. It won't be that high, but again, this is just for structure purposes. We will correct that at the time we do the final parameters as well. It authorizes board officers to take all necessary action to issue the bonds. There's a couple covenants that you will continue to comply with, that you'll comply with the budget covenant, which requires you to provide enough money in your budget each year to pay for the principal and interest on the bonds. There's a tax covenant that you'll comply with the rules of the Internal Revenue Code, and you won't cause these bonds to become taxable arbitrage bonds. There's a continuing disclosure requirement, which you have to provide continuing disclosure for any bondholder, and that goes on through the life of the issue. So those things are all set forth in here. I think they're the important provisions. The resolution also has the maximum debt service schedule attached to it as Exhibit A. There's the bond purchase agreement with Raymond James attached to it as Exhibit B. And then a form of bond, which is very generic at this point, but required under the Debt Act, even though we don't have any terms to put in it. So it's really just a piece of paper at this point. But I'm happy to answer any questions you have, or can go over any particular provisions if anybody has any questions.
This is a you may or may not have recognized her. She's been with the district for some time. She works with Mr. Pratt at Saxon Stone. She's represented us with land transactions before. She's done a great job with that, as well as represents us on the council. She's still doing for Mr. Pratt.
Okay.
There's something funny about that. Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
He's blushing.
Ali, thank you so much for coming this evening. Appreciate both of your time and supporting this edition, which is helping us uncover some savings. So take it.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. What I would like to do here is get a motion and a second.
Motion right now.
Perfect, thank you.
Second one, is there?
All right. Effective July 30th, 2025.
So just a quick introduction for the audience to interact and meet Lauren a little bit earlier this evening as part of our executive session. Lauren went through the interview process. She comes to us from an experience of a lot of depth of knowledge as an educator. She worked as a teacher. She worked as an assistant principal in East Stroudsburg. She worked as a principal in Allentown. Most recently, she's worked for an online education service company, as she's had the opportunity to have a little guy back there, Maverick, who is joining us this evening with her parents. So thank you so much for being here, Mom and Dad, and also Maverick. Lauren, would you like to share anything before we? Would you like to share anything? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, thank you everyone for this opportunity. I'm just really excited.
So, if approved, Mr. will be taking the place of Mrs. Ward, who was able to get a principal job in the Twin Valley School District. So it had this opening, and so we're very lucky to find Lauren and be able to recommend her for approval for this evening. With that, I'll turn it over to you for roll call.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mr. Hefner,
Yes.
Mr. Hohenschuld,
Yes.
Mrs. Hume,
Yes.
Mr. Reitenauer,
Yes.
Mr. Sheets,
Yes.
Mr. Stubitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Wallizer.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our regular scheduled program. Could I get a motion and a second for the Board of Directors report?
Motion right now.
Second knowledge.
All right, let's pause there 1 second. Need to have a motion and a second to separate letter D.
We just amend the motion.
Could I have an amendment to the motion or to pull out letter D from the Board of Directors report to vote on that separately?
Are you guys both okay with that, Mr. Reitenauer, Mr. Hohenschuld? That is, item D is the resolution for the bond that we just had a presentation about. We'll vote on that separate. Okay, you're okay with that?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, the floor is.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Congratulations again. And Mom and Dad, thank you so much for coming this evening and supporting Laura. So under Board of Directors report, the first item A is to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was June 9th. Any updates, corrections, or amendments need to be made to those minutes? Okay. We have approval of second reading policies. These were presented at that June 9th meeting. There's 5 policies there. Those policies have not been amended since we first presented them to you back in June, so those should be as they stand. We also have a first reading of the policies for this evening. There are 3 policies here. It's 301, creating position, 302, employment of a superintendent, and then employment of administrators. So 301, creating the position, and 303, employment administrators, stays the same. Those are no adjustments there. 302 is an employment of superintendent. That had some additions from PSBA, so we adopted the PSBA model policy and have that on the agenda tonight for consideration. The creating the position, I just do want to point that out. Under the creating position, there was some discussion earlier this evening about when there is a job that's created, there should be a job description associated with that for consideration. And so we do have that job description linked to the position for consideration this evening when we get to that for accounts payable and accounts receivable, but we'll officially make that a voting item at the next board meeting in September so we can officially create that position as part of this policy. Does that make sense to everybody? In talking to Mr. Pratt, we can still move forward with that approval of the individual for the role, but we'll create the position and we'll officially, the job description is there, but we'll officially approve the job description in
It doesn't
in
say it needs
September.
to be voted on before in this.
Correct.
Doesn't say.
So those are the 3 policies that are in effect. The only other thing I will note is under the 302 superintendent policy, employment of superintendent, there is a section in there about assistant superintendent. And so we've had an assistant superintendent, assistant superintendent position in the past, just to kind of bring light to that. So Mr. Farina is an assistant to the superintendent. So he still falls under the Act 93 agreement. You could also hire an assistant superintendent, which has a contract. It's the same role. It's just how you couch it and how you want to approach it as a district, as a contract or as part of Act 93. And so what that 302 assistant superintendent policy is, we made a note in there that because it has assistant superintendent mentioned throughout the policy, the note is, if applicable, including all notations in the remainder of the document. Just to make note that if there ever was an assistant superintendent position, we have that noted and if it's applicable. Does that make sense, everybody? So you'll see that in there, even though we don't have the position, but we put that clause in there. Item D, we had spoke about, that's the bond, obviously the presentation we just had. And then finally, item E is to appoint Ms. Delguerico as the Health Trust representative, the Berks Health Trust representative for a 2-year term. We have each school district that belongs to Health Trust has to have a district representative as well as a management representative. And so the management representative is Krista Hagerty. She is she's a science teacher in her high school. She represents the management side, the teacher side, and then Nicole would represent the district or management side. And that's how each representative, each partnering district in the Health Trust has 2 representatives. And so that is what item E is to continue Ms. Delguerico representing the district. Historically, it's always been the business manager. So we would ask that you consider that for those are the 5 items.
Thank you. Committee reports. ECIU, Mrs.
Good evening. The BCIU Board of Directors does not typically meet in the month of July. So that meeting was canceled this year. So at the next meeting, which is scheduled for Thursday, August 21st, I will, following our next board meeting, I will have a comprehensive update at that time.
Thank you. CTC, Mr. Ridenhour.
BCTC met on Wednesday, June 25th. We approved the breakfast and lunch prices. Breakfast for students is $2.25. Lunch for students is $3.70. We are excited to announce that Sam Berryman from Brandywine won gold in the post-secondary division of masonry competition. Sam has won gold in this competition 3 years in a row. We're excited to share that BCTC Precisional Computerized Machine and Technology Program has received a $16,000 Gene Haas Foundation / Tool Award. This grant will provide new tools and materials to enhance students' learning and prepare them for careers in the machining industry. There was no meeting for BCTC in July. Next meeting is August 27th at the East Campus, and students' first day back is August 25th. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
What we'll be doing during that time is we have the students report in the morning for their morning classes. They have the opportunity to either go home in the afternoon then, if they have parent permission, or they can stay for a study hall, which will be monitored by one of our staff members.
COLA did not meet at all this summer, but we do have our first meeting on Tuesday, September 9th with PASA. On a side note, as we're starting the new school year, I just wanted to remind everyone, and I'm sure our staff is going to be aware of it as well, how many of our students are facing food insecurities. And to keep that in mind, it was recently said that there has been an average of 65% increase in demand at our food banks. So just something to keep in mind as we're starting the school year for our students.
Thank you.
Please refer to the agenda.
Gotcha. Oh, Mrs. Eisenhart.
Mr. Farina and Mr. Dinich, part of their superintendent leadership program, met and developed their goal setting session. Their leadership included some of the wisdom of the bullfrog and dichotomy of leadership training. We will be going over the district goals later on in the agenda, and then there will be the survey was sent out, a stakeholder survey for the strategic planning process that will happen this fall with the community members.
Thank you. The floor is still yours for negotiation
No.
and compensation.
No updates at this time for negotiations.
Thank you. Building and Construction Committee, Mr. Pottinger, I will turn it over to you.
Perfect. And before I start that, this is while I had to send something, it triggered a thought for me. As a lot of you know, the state budget still is not passed. And so we, just to give a quick update on where we are at the state level, there's a stalemate. Currently, the budget's sitting in the Senate. It sounds like that stalemate will continue at least for the next month. As it pertains to the BCIU, I just learned this week that they have a funding strategy in place, but they basically are completely state funded. And we'll need to put a strategy in place to take out a line of credit by the end of August to be able to sustain funds. So they have done a phenomenal job of calibrating themselves in terms of making strategic reductions or hiring freezes unless it's key personnel. So it is a real thing in terms of how it can impact an organization. I pointed out to say the blessing and the curse for a district like ours is we're not heavily state funded, and so we're able to sustain ourselves. We also have that fund balance set aside specifically for a situation like this that will cover payroll for a certain period of time. So, sorry.
No, just to supplement, the IU has in place
early childhood initiative and pushing the Head Start to early intervention component of it, that is a major program operational concern.
I was just gonna ask you, what would be affected at our school district? What's mostly
They help with majority help with professional development, support administrators in terms of Java-like trainings, but the ancillary components and really the big impact is they service students that are ours, that are birth to 5, that need those services that otherwise would not get those services. So they would be, because we don't do the early intervention or Head Start here within the school district.
so like our pre-K kindergarten is the
So that funds comes through a state grant. Will be okay because we have. So if you think about our budget, roughly 30% state. So essentially, we can get through 70% of the year because we get most of our money up front through taxes. So it'll get us through. If we had to allocate funds that way, it'll get us through most of the year. It'll be okay.
So then is like Mrs. Acosta having to pick up any of that early childhood stuff that's not being met by the IU?
So essentially what Mrs. Hune outlined with taking the line of credit out will allow them to continue services. They'll have to just essentially self-fund that until they get that revenue coming in. Yeah.
There's more than 500 staff members that are paid to provide teaching-like services to the kids in those programs. So, but yes, it's not that the program's gonna stop. It's that the IU has to basically self-fund. But there's a cost to that. And a lot of time and energy spent trying to make sure that financially they can continue the programs. And that time and energy could be spent in much more sort of productive, student-focused ways instead of worrying about the payroll.
And likewise, BCTC's in a similar boat, but we pay tuition to BCTC, and so it's somewhat funded by us. They do get state revenue, but not as impactful as what the BCIU is, which is primarily state revenue. So anyway, I just want to bring that out. It's not part of the building construction committee, but connects to COLA, connects to BCIU, and I thought it's an appropriate time to talk about that. Building construction committee. So there are a few items here that I wanted to highlight this evening of things that happened over the summer. There's 5 of them on here. The high school stadium project. So a lot of progress has happened over there. If anyone has a free few moments, I'd encourage you to drive over to the high school, take a walk, look around. It is a complete transformation of that space. It looks wonderful. It's so inviting. There is a actual sports complex back there, not a grass field with a stone track. So it is a very, very cool place. The complex is really moving along. The press box has been built 2 stories now. There's shingles on it. The electrician was in it today, bringing in all the electrical components. That'll continue next week as well. So we are really moving forward to pull this thing together. We have a grand opening ceremony scheduled for September 5th at 4 p.m. So if you could mark that on your calendars, we'll also send you a specific special invitation as school board members. We'd love to have you there for that recognition. That night we'll kick off on September 5th at 4 p.m. and then we'll continue through the evening. So every outdoor sport will have a chance to play on that field. So it'll be girls soccer will have a chance to play, boys soccer will have a chance to play, field hockey will all have a chance to play that evening to kind of be our kickoff officially. Now we'll have played some events on it beforehand, but that'll be our official kickoff. And we're going to invite our business partners that help to construct that as part of that ceremony. So that is the high school stadium project. Great things happening over there. The intermediate middle school stadium project, we started that last year. Final completions, we're done with that this year with safety banner boxes put at the plaza so someone can't drive into the plaza. And flowers, will get into that before we start the season here. And then we also put lights at the plaza area to illuminate the area, which were not there before. We also did some upgrades here at the building with the intermediate middle school tennis court. The tennis court had some pretty gaping gaps and holes and really was becoming unusable. We had the Brenneman Company come in. They're the ones that redid our redid our high school tennis courts last year. Did a phenomenal job with them. So they came, resurfaced this area, crack sealed, and then made the 3 tennis courts remain, but they're now 6 pickleball courts, 2 on each side of the tennis court that are the primary courts, and then the outline of the tennis court is still there, so you can play both tennis or pickleball in this case. So great use. The Kutztown Rotary Club is going to be giving us a donation of over $7,000 to help support that, which is an awesome community connection there. We make sure we recognize them in that process. But that's a great upgrade. We're excited to roll that out for the community. We also put new fencing around the entire tennis court, pickleball court area. We kept, for cost savings, kept the old poles and then had our summer painters strip the old green off and paint it black, so it all looks really nice and cohesive. So that was an upgrade this summer. The high school wood shop expansion and greenhouse project is on hold, I'll call it. We're still waiting for permitting to go through to be able to start for ground on that, unfortunately. So at this point, we are about 3 months behind. So we were anticipating to be done December, January, so it'll probably be March-ish now to move forward. And then finally, I think everyone is aware of this, but just wanted to highlight it officially in the report that our solar project that we were exploring, we actually had secured a state grant to implement. There was a lot of concern about what was going to happen with the IRS tax credit for solar, and too much ambiguity and concern for the district to be able to move forward. So the construction committee had decided to kind of pull the plug on that project for now. It wasn't worth the risk. And if we didn't have that IRS kickback to support it, it wasn't going to be a financially viable solution. It really, the reason we explored in the first place is it was anticipated to bring a pretty significant amount of dollars into the school district over the course of the next 20 to 30 years. And so at this point in time, it didn't make sense if we were going to have to foot the bill to build the entire project without having any supplemental kickback to help support that before the kickback is what was going to make it viable. That has gotten through. That's it. The construction report.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I'd like to correct the spelling of Mr. Hohenschildt's name.
Where's that?
You missed the H in Hilt.
Where is that, Mr.?
The very last line, just before board discussion, building construction committee names Mr. Hohenschildt, not Hohenschild.
Thank you.
How about that? Or did you change your name?
Probably a lot easier
Less
if you just
paperwork,
change your
I like
name.
it.
Let's stick with the correction on the board agenda.
Mr. Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Hohenschildt?
Yes.
Mrs. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Reitnauer?
Yes.
Mr. Sheets?
Yes.
Mr. Stubitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser? Yeah. Mrs. Eisenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Whiteman?
Need to approve the bond.
Mr. Hohenschildt?
Yes.
Mrs. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Reitnauer?
Yes.
Mr. Sheets?
Yes.
Mr. Stubitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser? Yeah. Mrs. Eisenhart?
Yes.
Mr. Hefner?
Yes.
Business and operations report. Can I get a motion in a second, please?
Motion right now.
Second, Stupid's.
All right, good evening and thank you, everybody. For the business and operations report, we will start with the bills list as well as the financial reports. Item A, we have general fund bills totaling $1,131,300 $349.90. Just a little caveat here, these are bills for both the 24-25 school year as we close it out, and also a lot of the purchasing that does occur over the summer preparing for the 25-26 school year. Food service fund bills totaling $33,587.83. 99.9% of that would go to the summer feed program. Item C, the construction fund bills totaling $52,911. Item D, capital reserve bills totaling $56,937.14. And item E is we're asking you to accept the financial reports through June 30th. Again, these are interim reports. The financial audit is set to occur next Thursday and Friday. That is before the modified accrual 60-day window after the fiscal year end. So we'll do a good portion of that, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. That'll kind of linger on for a month or so. So we should have the finalized financial statements to you probably November or December to present to the board. Item F, special education pupil services. Item 1 is to approve an agreement for a student to attend the Chester County IU. The student will attend the emotional support program at the Child and Career Development Center for the 25-26 school year. This includes the specialized transportation services, behavioral support, as well as ESY for the summer following the school year at an estimated cost of $58,357.50. Item 2 is to ratify the signed agreement with Core Youth and Family Services to refer clients for acute partial hospitalization, child and adolescent outpatient, residential treatment, foster care, adoption, evening report center, and alternative educational services as attached. Item 3, this is a new provider. There is quite the demand for therapy or speech services at this time. So this was an individual that was able, or a company that was able to provide services for the upcoming school year, JB Therapy Solutions, at a cost of $105 per hour. Item G, curriculum technology. We have one item. This is for the virtual academy. We did approve some at the June meeting, and here is some additional curriculum to approve Accelerate Education Incorporated for the 25-26 school year. To provide online curriculum for K through 5 instructional services at a cost of $1,429 for a full-time seat per license per student per semester. That's a $100 increase from the prior year, as well as online curriculum for secondary with instructional services at a cost of $314 per course per student. That's a $35 increase from the prior year. Facilities and maintenance, we get into some capital construction items. Item 1 is to ratify the contract with the Brenneman Company. As alluded to in the construction update, they resurfaced the intermediate middle school tennis courts and converted it was just 3 tennis courts. Now it is 3 tennis courts and 6 pickleball courts for a total cost of $44,000 as attached. Item 2 is to ratify a change order with Schlau at a cost of $27,536.38 to remediate a sinkhole in the retention basin, which occurred as a result of water drainage entering the basin prior to the liner being installed. Item 3 is to approve a change order with Schlau at a cost of $26,796. This is to install coloring to the exchange zones of the track, which enhance visibility for athletes, improves officiating accuracy, supports safe and legal baton exchanges, and aligns with competitive track standards as detailed in Business H3. This is an ongoing transition. As new tracks are built, new ones or old ones are resurfaced. They're having that exchange zone. The colors are basically an alternate color from the majority of the track. So as we are currently building ours, they suggested that be a good enhancement, as that's really the trend for the future, whether they mandate it or not. Sort of like a best practice kind of thing. Item 4 is to ratify an agreement with New Holland Fence Company at a cost of $16,875 to install the new fencing around the ISMS tennis courts. And the last one is to approve a change order of $3,405 with Kraus Construction for board and batten siding as attached. So the next one, I say this with a big asterisk. These lunch prices and the item J, the budget, are contingent on similar state and federal reimbursement as the prior year. If things drastically change, I will come to you probably a month from now. I would let you know beforehand and probably ask you to approve something totally different. But for now, if business is sort of business as usual, I would ask you to approve the meal prices as outlined in the agenda. They make us do a paid lunch equity tool based on what the cost of the meal is, and if we have to increase prices at all. The only increase in price was the student lunch at the elementary intermediate school, about $3. If you look at the big attachment, that kind of aligns with our neighboring districts. And then also in a perfect world, again, if things continue as they are, we'll have free breakfast for all students again. So that was the only change in cost as far as meal prices that we're proposing. And then item J is to approve the food service budget in the amount of $900,000, $57.88. I would say in projections, we are still having a slight profit of about $40,000 revenue over expense, assuming all things kind of fall in line as to where they are. Item K is to approve the current roster of bus drivers to start out the school year provided by Christ Transportation, Puxatawny, PA for the 25-26 school year. I think bus routes went live today. Brandywine, public and non-pub, we are fully staffed. So that's a good sign. That's 2 years in a row that we are fully staffed. Moving forward, Christ Transportation, we still have the same amount of bus runs for Brandywine students. I think it's 10 full runs, a minibus, and a 32 passenger bus, and a couple of vans. So we're looking good on the bus front, and also on the food service front. So that's all I got.
Questions? I got a question. F3, the JP Therapy Solutions. Do we put that out for bid, or how do we go about that?
So I would say legally we do not, because it's a service. I would say in a perfect world, Mandy could reach out to multiple vendors and get multiple quotes, which I think she has. But I think at this point, it's people that are qualified and able might kind of weed them out.
Agencies, and we had some previously back in spring approved, but none of those agencies were able to provide staffing for our needs. So this agency was one who has confirmed staffing for the entire school year, starting August 20th for our elementary students.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just curious how that worked.
Yeah.
I have two quick questions under facilities H. So item number 3, the extra 27,000 roughly grand to do the color zones for the track. Was this something we could or should have planned for when we initiated work with whatever company gave us consultation on that?
I'd say yes and no to that. It could have been something that was brought to our attention as we went through the construction process and started it this fall, if you will, and then went through the spring season. There was a lot of excitement and a lot of thinking then of like, oh, this is what we're noticing because we're now in construction phase and this is what we're seeing at track events. And so our track coach had come to Mr. Pinelli and I and suggested that we consider this exchange zone color. And essentially what it does is allows for a clearer, there's certain exchange zones when you do relay events. And instead of having all this one color, like let's just say that burgundy and orange.
It's the section where the baton is passed.
Oh, I get it, and I have no issue. I
Yeah.
think we should have a state-of-the-art facility. My concern, frankly, is just, are we being charged 27 grand because it's an after-the-fact idea? Would it have cost us only 10 or 15 grand if we had planned better and leveraged expertise in the marketplace to advise us more effectively?
So the answer to that is yes, there is a change order fee that's associated with this because of that. Whether the cost of the amount to do the work is equal or not when you end up building, it's not what it's supposed to be, but But there is a change order fee associated, so it will cost us more based off of that fee.
Yeah, so it's a 10% markup, so $2,600.
Okay. Are there other things that our track coach or industry experts have suggested or that we have proactively solicited input to ensure that, again, we don't get sort of blindsided or fully down a path and then go, shoot, why didn't somebody tell us? That would have made our facility even that much better.
So I can speak to that. I was going to say, I was actually going to turn it over to him. I would say he's done a phenomenal job. We've kind of worked back and forth of, he's really done a nice job of going to the experts, the coaches, of saying like, you guys are the ones at the other fields, at the other events. You're the expert in kind of that sport. What do you guys need? And they've kind of worked on, a best effort to come up with, a compilation of equipment that they need. And we've been working on purchasing that. So.
Yeah, and echo that. I think since I started here, right, Big Sur project coming up, with the stakeholders, the coaches, and the facilities that had done similar projects most recently, and what went well, what we did differently, what didn't go well, and just started those conversations just to see where we were at, and if we could make any changes for a project, make those changes if we could. That's kind of how we're down this path with the exchange room, specifically Shippensburg, where we have districts and states. They had just probably would have done that, so that's what I kind of got.
Thank you. And then second question, item 5, so the press box. So Gordon Batten, what had we originally spec'd and what's the rationale for upgrading at the cost of $3,400 to Gordon Batten?
Originally what was spec was just like straight siding, and we wanted to create more of a visual appeal of looking at having it look more of a barn structure. With the fields in the background instead of looking more like a house structure, it would have been like a cheap line siding would have a house. That's what it would have been.
It's strictly visual.
Yeah.
It added to the whole feel of it. So it's aesthetic. It's not necessary. It's $3,400 that makes it look really great as opposed to good.
Well, also the vinyl siding was cracked, and we have the other vinyl sidings that we have on the other sheds. When a ball hits it, soccer ball, that vinyl siding was cracked. So this will prevent that as well.
So durability. So thank you, because I'm going to have trouble saying yes to something that's pure aesthetics when that's $3,400 we could spend on, educating a student or including an extra kid in a program or something.
We got a wallpaper
if you're-
of both sides.
But yeah, so if you can tell me that it's like, oh, gonna make it last longer, or gonna prevent leaks better, or prevent a field hockey ball from ruining it, then I have an easier time saying it's a wise investment of taxpayer dollars.
And to that point, the other issue is longevity. So I actually was talking to the builder today, and he was very happy we were going with this because what was spec'd out from the engineer was a cheaper grade siding that you would have. If you think about it from a house perspective, it'll last. It's fading. It's gonna crack. It's not going to look great. So he was very happy we decided to move forward this from what we will appreciate for the longevity of the project.
Thank you for sharing.
Any other questions? If not, make it a roll call, please.
Mrs. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Reitnauer?
Yes.
Mr. Sheets?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser? Yes. Mrs. Eisenhart?
Yes.
Mr. Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Hohenschultz?
Yes.
Mr. Wagman?
Yes.
9 yeas, the motion carries.
All right, superintendent report, making a motion in a second.
Motion right now.
Motion Hohenstill. Is that with an H or without?
Drop the mic there.
All right. So a couple items under superintendent report this evening. We have the second readings of the 3 curriculum that were presented in June: the U.S. government and media curriculum, the supervisory agricultural experience, and the small animal science for ag. and then also the K-12 technology curriculum. So those were presented. Mr. Farina had shared those back in the June meeting. This is the second reading. Once approved, those will become official items of the board curriculum for the year. Item D, E, and F are 3 overnight field trips with FFA. Our new FFA teacher, Mrs. Schuler, has done a phenomenal job, super organized. She put in all the FFA events for the start of the school year. There are 3 specific ones that have overnight experiences with them. The first one is January 31st to the 1st, and that's for the ACES conference, Agriculture Cooperation Establishes Success Conference. The second one is March 22nd to the 24th, and that's for the Legislative Leadership Conference. And then the third one is their big one, which is June 9th to the 12th. That's after school is out, but it's in June. It's up at Penn State, and it's the FFA State Convention. So those are the 3 big events that, along with a host of day events that are going to be occurring with FFA. So great to see that excitement and movement forward with that program. Item G is to approve the Targeted Support and Improvement Plan. We've had presented this, Dr. Kershaw presented this to the board at the meeting in June. And so this is now the official approval of that, so we can submit that to the state. So we'd ask your consideration for that. Item G is to approve the 25-26 district goals. I just want to take a moment. That is in your handout. So in your handout, you will have a document that looks like this. It's the 1-pager for the goals. You'll also have a document that looks like this. This is what we call our Gantt chart. This took our strategic plan process that we had done with the 4-year strategic plan process, broke it up by years. The reason I handed this out to you is when we transition from mid-year and end of year, we'll more reference this. This has all the details of how we're going to accomplish the goal and who's responsible for accomplishing the goal. This is the kind of the high-level summary to get it on 1 page. But for the board's edification and for knowledge, you have all of the background and detail that goes into what one of the goals are specifically. And so I wanted to share that with you so you can see the thought process and the I'll call it the mini initiatives, the objectives under each goal that are outlined there. Just to go through, just as a reminder, this is the last year of that strategic plan process. We're going to be starting a new strategic plan process this fall. Mr. Farina has already started that process with the surveys to the board, with a survey to the community, with a survey to the teachers. As Mrs. Eisenhardt shared earlier, that was part of the work this summer to get to this. It was evaluating the survey results. That will also launch our strategic plan process this coming fall. And in the end, we'll create a 4-year goal document again, and then we'll break those out year by year to help us articulate a plan moving forward for the district. So this is the last year of last year's sequence of, or last 4 years of sequence of plans. And so just to highlight a few items on here. The first one is this is the 70th anniversary of the school district. So that's exciting. We want to do some highlights with that, specifically at graduation, specifically in our bullet points newsletter. We're going to include segments within the newsletter throughout the course of the year. So that's a highlight we wanted to note. We also are working with our communication team specifically this year. They've been built out, but we're going to reinvest in those and ensure that we have good systems and sequence in place at the building level and department level to effectively communicate with our community. Also branding initiatives now that we have the stadium, as well as some of the other things that are happening around the district. We want to increase that visibility and branding through the school district and continue pushing that messaging. And then, as I mentioned in the beginning of this, we have the 2030 strategic plan process that we're going to be engaged in. That is a huge initiative. That's going to be one of the big culminating things we work on this year. The second goal is high quality instruction. A few items under here just to point out. Continue evaluating our summer learning opportunities. We had a great opportunity to continue that this year at Camp Spark through the support of the Education Foundation. So that was a good win for us, and we want to continue that moving forward. Expansion of the AG program, continue investment in dual enrollment programming. That has got a lot of attraction in the last couple of years and has been a very strategic move we did several years ago and has really paid huge dividends for our students and our district. Curriculum cycle this year, we have practical arts, which is health and PE, as well as driving. And then the other big one this year is K-12 science. So those are our curriculum initiatives this year. We have the targeted school improvement that I just shared. That to implement that is going to be one of our major goals this year. And then under special education, implement Goal Book, which is a new tool to establish goals for our students. We also have some gifted universal screeners we're going to be implementing, and then evaluating our speech teachers, because we're having a lot of students that need speech needs, and we only have 2 speech staff members. So we have to evaluate how we're going to manage that and address that. So that's one of our goals this year. Under safe and supportive learning environment, continue with our district health and wellness committee. That's going to be reinvigorated with the hiring of Mrs. Yerger tonight. Part of her role be to oversee that, as well as district safety and security committee. Part of the role of Mr. Schohacker, as well as Mrs. Honich, is to help with that safety and security for the school district. We also are working on new flip books for the school district, and so that is a major rollout. Mr. Schohacker is leading a professional development this year with all our staff at the start of the school year to go through what does security and safety look like within the school district, as well as then partnering with Pennsylvania State Police to do some assessments within our facilities. Under increasing engagement and connections, of course, I shared earlier the turf opening. That's going to be a huge milestone event for us for the district moving forward, but also for this year in particular. We also work specifically on continuing fostering those increasing connections between the youth athletic programs and our middle school and high school programs. With the new facility, we're going to look to reevaluate our facility rentals and maximizing revenue on that space, which is one of our goals specifically this year. And then finally, under district facilities and resources, a few things to highlight here. We'll be looking to reevaluate our BCTC transportation. That contract is up this year, so that'll be one of our key goals. Also looking to do some structured training plans for our maintenance team as we look to replace one of our team members due to retirement. So that's going to be a key purposeful plan. Also in terms of maintenance facilities, developing and working through our current facility 5-year plan and reinvesting to create a new long-range facility plan with Mr. Molitoris. Looking at the transition of our building automation system. And then finally on the technology side, implementing the Adobe Sign, which will allow us to do electronic signatures and hopefully reduce a lot of paper, the cost of paper going up. So we're hoping to change to more electronic. There's a host of other things on there, but those are some of the highlights I just wanted to point out as part of the goal process this year. And again, there's a ton of detail that backs that up within this document. Finally, we have the approval of the student handbooks. Annually, we like to have the board approve those handbooks before we roll those out. And so we have all the building handbooks, elementary, intermediate, middle school, and high school, as well as the virtual academy, as well as the athletic handbook for consideration this evening that are linked. Finally, enrollment report. We'll give a more specific update on that as we get towards the start of the school year. Right now, it's still in flux, but I did want to invite Mr. Pinelli to share a little bit. Specifically, we're kicking off athletics. Today was the official first day for athletics for fall sports. The amount of students that we have engaged and participating in athletics this year is through the roof. So just allow Mr. Pinelli to share some of those facts and figures with the board.
Yeah, thank you, Spotter. Welcome back. Excited to be here again. Just quick numbers. Last year at the end of the year, students involved in athletics. That's the button. That's right there. Students involved in athletics, we had 316, 7 to 12, right? Middle school to high school. Already, just in the fall, we have just under 300 student athletes who have registered to play a fall sport grades 7 through 12. This number, I think, is just a reflection on our coaches, yourselves, and our community, encouraging students to try athletics, right? Try it out. We just came from a phenomenal admin retreat. Our speaker on Thursday spoke about just that child, right? That one child that gets left behind or to the side. For me, right, calling athletics, having the opportunities to give our kids, right, to come on the field. So it's really encouraging to have my staff give us the numbers of where we're currently at. And it's a great trajectory of where we want to be. So I just want to share that little tidbit with you that, again, fall starting off great numbers-wise, and the turf field doesn't hurt. But it's good to have nice facilities to play on, right? So, again, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time and look forward to a very successful year coming up. Thank you.
Questions, comments? I have a question for Mr. Finelli.
This might be a little random, but I did email you, oh my goodness, probably like 6 months ago, if you remember.
I do.
And I did speak to Mr. Puttiger. Would there be a possibility of us starting an archery club, an archery team? And the only reason I'm thinking of this is, one, I don't think it'd be too expensive to start one. And two, I think there'd be a lot of interest, because our gun club is like keeping with people that, to the point that people don't even get a chance to use a rifle. So I don't know if you got a chance to look into this.
Yeah, it's a great question, right? Anytime we want to start a club or a new activity, it's gauging student interest. What I do is send out and see who is interested, and then where we could go to provide that experience for our kids, and who could we appoint to help run that, right? I don't want to have a club with no one to lead that per se. But yeah, so I think action items from here is just sending out who's interested, and then take steps forward from there. That is, yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious what that would look like. I've heard a lot of girls because of spring sports, there's only really two options for them, for our girls. Lacrosse, especially some really soccer athletes.
Mhm.
I think that would be awesome to have to play in the spring.
Yeah, I have, and I would say in front of that, right, if there's a queue, right now, flag football, women's flag football is huge, but that's more inner city. It is a big influx. We just had a meeting, even at the state level, coming down of, hey, who in Berks County, District 3, who's excited to potentially have a women's flag football team? So that's one thing within our district. We're already having conversations about what that might look like. I think trying to start that now as an option. The travel isn't ideal, right? But that's another option, again, where you could have. Mhm. Yeah, but that's another option. But I wouldn't say it's outright. I think same thing. I think you gauge conversation, right? See the interest, and it's not just someone interested who plays softball said, I might think about it, but have a serious conversation. My current position at my other school, we did start a lacrosse program. So the steps are there. I would say first thing is it's a niche job, right? Not everyone's a lacrosse coach. So if you find the right person who could lead that program, I think then you have some options there. Absolutely. Yep. Any other questions? Good questions, both of you. Thank you.
Quick question on the goals. So tonight's Bear Dog program, where does it slot on your grid? Did I miss it? Would you need to add it?
It's up at the top under the MTSS, so it's a part of our
Which one?
MTSS. It's a part of our MTSS up at the top part with
It's on the
supportive.
other sheet.
Oh, okay, I was looking at this one, like which category?
It's under.
Safe, yes.
Blue. Okay, there we go. Thank you. And what is, in that same column, second bullet from the bottom, request for PSPRVAT security? Can you help us with the acronym?
Mr. Schoecker, that's all you.
That's through the Pennsylvania State Police. That is our risk, vulnerability, and threat assessment, which actually there was, I believe, a 2 or 3 month wait to have the Pennsylvania State Police come out to school districts. We were fortunate enough that we got ahead of that, so we actually have our RVAT complete, and it is in my office as we speak. But essentially what they're doing is they're going through the elementary school, the intermediate and middle school, and then the high school, and then what they're looking at are our facilities, entrance ways to each building. For example, signage, making sure that we have proper lighting outside of each of the buildings, taking a look at our classrooms, making sure of safety and security, and different things like that. And then through each one of the buildings, they've given us a report. They are suggestions, not necessarily requirements.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. And similar risk assessment for technology. Sorry. Pass the baton. Yeah, so
That includes some of, it looks at our digital security as well as just the physical security. So that technology piece is incorporated into there. So part of that is we need to use the RVAT results when we apply for those big grants. And we had to provide that information when we got the big $500,000 grant to upgrade all of our camera systems.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, take a roll
Call, please.
Mr. Reitnauer,
Yes.
Mr. Sheets,
Yes.
Mr. Stewitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Wallizer,
Yes.
Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mr. Hefner,
Yes.
Mr. Hohenschult,
Yes.
Mrs. Hune,
Yes.
Mr. Wagaman,
Yes.
9 yeas, the motion carries.
All right, personnel report, can I get a motion in a second?
Motion right now.
Second, Stubitz. Here we go
How fast can you do
for
this?
the massive personnel report. It's always August. So wanted to thank the board again for allowing us to extend contract offers over the summer. That helped us secure a lot of staff members and greatly appreciate your support in allowing us to do that. A lot of these things will be ratified because we did extend offers. Before I get into it though, I did want to point out that there is one more document in your folders this evening. It is a list of our new staff members. I thought it'd be nice to have a quick snapshot of who those new staff members are. So faces associated to that. And then the last page is district staff changes. So if you ever wanted to figure out how A got to B to C, and sometimes it might get the letter Z, so we figure out all the dominoes, that is the domino cheat sheet that's there. So with that being said, you can look at that as I talk. There are some retirements and resignations. We have the retirement of Miss Erin Bross. She was our new high school social studies teacher last year. She took a district in her home district. We have Mrs. Colleen Dreisbach, who is our emotional support teacher. She is taking the district in a cyber charter school. Mrs. Lauren Gardner, who is our current ESL teacher, is taking the position at a neighboring school district, her home school district as well. We talked about Mrs. Ward earlier this evening, but she is taking the position as a principal in the Twin Valley School District. The retirement of Mr. Barry Fox, who is our longtime high school custodian, will take effect September 12th. We have the resignation of one of our food service workers. We also have the resignation of our accounts payable specialist, Mrs. Bonnie Moyer, who has been with the district for several years. Extremely hardworking, dedicated individual, and she will definitely be a loss to the business office. We also have the resignation of Mrs. Emily Moyer, who's one of our food service workers. And then finally, there's a summary of some shifts that happened within the co-curricular coaches section that are listed there. Under change of status, a few changes of status. So number 1 and 2 kind of go together. I mentioned Lauren Gardner as ESL teacher. To backfill for that ESL, we're going to have Mrs. Angela Worsing, who is a current Spanish teacher at the high school, pick up part of that role as well, pick up the ESL role as well as teach Spanish. So that will cover that position. Mrs. Marcy Shoemaker is a part-time Spanish teacher. We're going to move her to full-time. So by essentially moving Marcy to full-time, shifting Angela to cover ESL, we're able to basically backfill that ESL position with a half-time position and have some financial savings there as well as some benefits savings because at a half-time position we're already paying benefits. So that's a pretty significant financial savings for the district, which is good to know. We also have the change of assignment for one of our food service workers, as you can see there, with moving from 3.5 hours to 5.75 hours. We also have the change of assignment of Mrs. Nicole Reichert as the assistant to the business manager to accounts payable and procurement specialist. She's done a nice job working in that assistant business manager, and kind of the role and consideration along the way has been to have her move into that role if that ever opened up. And so this is a good time to combine those two together, account payable and procurement, which she was doing earlier, procurement, and be able to collapse that into one position. So we're thankful she's going to be taking that lead. Under appointments, we have Mrs. Heidi Hoff to serve as a Camp Spark substitute. That was a last minute ad that did get caught in the June meeting. We also have the appointment of Mrs. Grace O'Neill. She's going to be the 8th grade learning support teacher. So as dominoes fall here, Mrs. Rissmiller retired this past year. Mrs. Rissmiller, we had one of our kindergarten teachers take over from Mrs. Rissmiller, 2nd grade. That opened up the kindergarten position. We had a teacher that we hired last year that was initially for the elementary school. She did us a favor and filled in for 8th grade learning support. She's now going to kindergarten, which opened up 8th grade learning support. So that's how we get the hiring of Miss Grace O'Neill. So essentially, Grace O'Neill is Sydney Rissmiller, if you want to connect those dots. Mrs. Sydney Morin is going to be our 4th grade teacher. She is the backfill for Mr. Schoecker when he moved into the assistant principal role at the high school. We acknowledged and already approved, this is Laura Gerger that's on there. We have item E to appoint Miss Julia Davis as the high school social studies teacher. So she'll be that backfill for Mrs. Aaron Ross, who I mentioned earlier, who's taking the district in her own district. And then we have Mrs. Taylor Shadler, who will be serving as our intermediate middle school emotional support teacher. We are excited for her. She is an alum of the school district, has been working in the Allentown School District and coming back to us in the emotion support teacher position, which is great. Under support staff, we have 2 student workers that worked with us over the summer that are going to continue working with us during the course of the school year. They had expressed interest in wanting to continue employment. It actually worked out well because we had a full-time opening at the elementary school that we needed to backfill for. Knowing that these 2 individuals did a great job for us over the summer, they are going to move to the elementary school and then be that backfill for that FTE at the elementary school. We also have the approval of a long-term substitute, Mr. Eric Then, who will be filling in for the sabbatical listed a little bit later on this item, which is item E1. We also have the co-curricular appointments. There's a fall athletic coaches as well as athletic event workers that are on this list for this evening, as well as professional staff members for 25-26 co-curricular advisors. Under item D, support staff substitutes, we have 2 support staff nurse substitutes that we have put on here for consideration. It is great to see nurse substitutes be available again. That never happened before, so we're very thankful to have both these individuals express interest in willing to work for the school district. And then mentioned earlier, there's 2 leaves. One is for sabbatical leave for the first semester. The second one is to take a medical leave for a personal surgery, and that'll occur from August 19th until October 3rd. And that's to support a position here in the middle school library. It's not the end. It's the back. Sorry. I got excited. I thought it was at the end. We have the approval of the professional staff to serve as homebound instructors. We do this on an annual basis, and homebound instruction occurs if a student has some kind of medical necessity that they're not able to come to school for a period of time. We have our staff go to the home then and provide instruction. That's more for a short-term medical, but they're not able to come in. If it's more of a long-term significant, we'll transition them more to the virtual academy. But we annually approve our teaching staff to be able to serve as homebound instructors because we never know where something's going to pop up. So may or may not be needed, but we do that on an annual basis. And then item 2 is to approve the list of mentors with mentees for all our new positions for the course of the school year. And so we're excited to have those in there. It also gives you kind of a snapshot of our new employees. Some of those new employees are individuals that, as you see indicated by an asterisk, individuals that are in year 2 of their induction program. And that's now part of the state requirement to be able to do induction for 2 years. That is the end of the personnel report. Questions?
I got a question. Can they do that like virtually, or do they literally have to walk into the house?
In most cases, they will do that going into the house, into the home environment.
Is it like more to that, like just randomly, like why don't just like someone would clear a background check? Like I'm just saying, like if a parent had a background and we didn't know about it, could we be putting our substitute teacher in danger? Or am I like totally overthinking this?
Mr. Pratt, you want to handle that one?
My opinion, you're totally overthinking that. Is that the individuals, part of it is being trained to be a homebound instructor as well, understanding that there being dynamic interaction.
And our staff are mandated reporters, so if they would see something in a home environment that would cause alarm, they are mandated reporters and have to share that with the appropriate authorities.
Real quick, under item C1B, the item for Grace O'Neill, it looks like the parenthetical teacher is listed as Kistler. Is that supposed to be Rissmiller?
No, it's Mackenzie Kistler. Mackenzie Kistler was our elementary teacher that did worked as last year filling in for us as that learning support teacher because we couldn't find someone. She's now taking the kindergarten position. The kindergarten teacher moved into this Chris Miller slot. So it's
I whipped
so
on that,
yes,
sorry. Okay.
yes, Riss Miller in the end, but Kistler was the teacher that was in there last year. So
Okay, no worries. And then it looks like maybe in that same section under F, Taylor, is this Taylor Schweigert?
It is.
Schwegler? Okay, so like she's not on the new staff member list yet, and the mentoring and that kind of thing. So as you add folks to the books, you'll be updating this, which I think is a great tool.
yes,
Okay,
Yep.
and then she would appear, for example, on next month's mentoring thing.
correct.
Got it.
So this document we actually have linked to the welcome back letter for all our families as well.
Yeah.
So they can get a snapshot of who the individuals are. And we'll update that with Taylor. We had the meeting with her today. We did a placeholder on this to make sure we get a account for the 24-hour notification. But we had a meeting with her today and officially sent her out to the locker room. It came in very last minute, but we wanted to get her approved because that's obviously a critical position. And there's going to be most likely a hold
Right,
that
she
will
needs to
happen.
be released from Allentown. or
Correct,
wherever she
yeah.
is these days. Okay,
So we wanted to get that started as soon as possible.
got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Take a roll call, please.
Mr. Sheets,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Mrs. Wallizer,
Yes.
Mrs. Eisenhorn,
Yes.
Mr. Hefner,
Yes.
Mr. Hohenschuld,
Yes.
Mrs. Hume,
Yes.
Mr. Reitmauer,
Abstain.
Mr.
Abstain.
Mr. Wagman.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 abstain, the motion carries.
All right, any other board questions, comments?
Do I have comments?
Yes, sir.
So I want to thank Mrs. Eisenhart. I'm not sure if you were there, Mr. Wagner. I want to thank Mr. Pottinger and Nicole for going out of their way and representing us and having the best interest of our students at the Upton Borough Council meeting. I think that it's totally inappropriate to have a vacant store across the street from our school. And it's kind of sad that we already have one. And I just want to say I appreciate that you were looking out for our students. Thank you.
Nicole did an amazing job speaking on behalf, and Mike spoke on behalf of his business, but no, I mean, having us both there was good as well. But really, Nicole knocked it out of the park. She had to be in the hot seat and interviewed and cross-examined. So my one could not believe they hired this person as an attorney when he compared a packet of Twinkies to a packet of cigarettes, as they were both dangerous. So somebody paid that man to represent them. So, so yeah.
It's a rough seat up here. Any public comment questions?
So Twinkies are okay?
What's that?
Not for us.
So Twinkies are okay?
I guess in moderation. Moderation.
Thank you. Yeah. So I do have an update on Stuff Plus. It's a great initiative we rolled out for the first time between Ms. Aguerico and Mrs. Roberta Weller. They kind of tag team on that initiative. I now have an office full of supplies. So we're going to roll those out throughout the course of the week here to families that are in need. To give them the opportunity to discreetly get food to be able to give it to their children free to start the school year, and then whatever's left over, we'll distribute it to the district building. So, yeah, thanks for everyone that participated, to the community that might be watching. Thank you. Great turnout. Really appreciate it. I was really excited for the first time rolling this thing out and seeing how much support. In fact, we got a host of Amazon boxes today from the wish list, which is really cool. Yeah, thank you for asking.
We need to announce that we had an executive session prior to the meeting, and we'll have one after the meeting in regards to legal counsel. Did I get a motion and a second for adjournment?
Motion right now.
Thank you, everyone.
We're gonna go back across.